Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about the marble faun. Now, before I go into summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. All right, so the marble faun, written by Nathaniel Hawthorne, really interesting work here, and basically the Marble Faun, you have these Americans, Miriam, Hilda, and Kenyon. They're in Rome, Italy. They're studying. They're, getting their skills, or getting their skills, and they're artists, and they're in Rome, Italy. I mean, it's an inspiring place. They meet this individual by the name of Donatello, and these four friends. They're having good times. They're together, but ultimately, what happens? Miriam is being stalked by this man, and Donatello and Miriam, they start to get close. And when the stalker gets too close to Miriam, Donatello, he gets into it, and he ends up killing the stalker. He throws him off a cliff. And so, well, this is really bad because everybody feels bad about this murder. Miriam feels bad about it because she was involved in it. Donatello's the one who killed the man. Hilda, and Kenyon, they're all involved in it. They all know what happened. And so these four characters, they have to figure out how to go on living with this guilt, with the knowledge of this man died, and they actually see the body, and they learn about the man later at the man's funeral. So this is something that's very dark, and they all know what happened. They all remember seeing the man. They all know why the man is dead, and so they all have to live with this. Donatello goes away to the countryside. He goes home. He goes to the countryside. Kenyon goes to see him, and they get they drink wine, and they spend some time in the countryside trying to feel better, trying to get over what happened. And this really got in the way of the relationship between Miriam and Donatello. Kenyon plays a role in getting them back together, and they do get back together eventually in the novel. And Kenyon and Hilda, they do get together within the novel. Hilda, she ended up telling a priest. The church is very much involved within this work, dealing with people's sins, morals. I mean, this is Nathaniel Hawthorne. This is, the Scarlet Letter, the author of the Scarlet Letter. So these characters, they all have to deal with sin, morality, ethics, and they have to just figure out how do they move on with their lives, with the fact that, well, this murder happened in the midst of them, and Donatello's hands are with blood. I mean, it's murder. You don't just forget about that. But it kind of seemed like the novel was gonna end up in a good place. I mean, in the end, Kenyon and Hilda, they do end up together. But in a postscript after at the end of the work, we learned that Hilda was receiving religious instruction. We learned that Donatello turned himself over to the police and he went to prison, and Miriam is free. So we kind of learned this from the postscript, but from the lives of the characters, it kind of seemed like everything was going to be okay, that everybody was going to be fine, and everybody was going to end up happily ever after. But that's not really what happened. I mean, these characters, they, they're trying to be happy, they're trying to end up together, they're trying to be in love, but at the same time, this murder just happened in such a way where it just scarred them for life, and they had to deal with their morality, their ethics, their reason to live, and it really had an impact on these characters. Um, in terms of deeper meaning and analysis, this work is very interesting. Again, you're looking at morals, ethics. How do you go on after you commit murder? Humans were not really known for killing. I mean, this is why soldiers have PTSD and things like that. This is why some people who kill people have mental problems. This is why when governments conduct capital punishment, they go through several procedures, and even the people who have to ultimately kill the prisoners, they have to go through several procedures for their mental health. So these characters, at first, they're just go-lucky people studying, all about art, enjoying the beauty of the world. It kind of felt like a bunch of college students, and things went wrong. Like a bunch of college friends get together, they're having fun, and something happens and somebody dies, and then they all have to deal with the trauma of the reality of someone, dying because of them. And ultimately, well, you can look at the postscript and you can look at uh, what was written before the postscript. Before the postscript, it seemed like everything was going to be normal. Everybody, it felt like Hilda and Kenyan were going to end up together. Well, they did end up together, but it felt like everybody was going to end up together. Kenyan and Hilda and Miriam and Donatello, you felt like everything was going to be fine. But the postscript just throws all of that off. It just says, like, hey, um, Hilda was receiving religious instruction because the whole situation messed her up so much that she needed to find some type of connection with God to get back to normal. It says that the postscript tells you that, well, Donatello, everything was just so horrible for him that he couldn't live with himself, so he had to turn himself over for punishment. And Miriam is just, well, she's just without her love. So really, Hawthorne really puts it in here how much, when you do certain things in life, they do bite at you. And it can really impact how you carry on your life, and even if you can live with yourself, because the situation is so horrible for Donatello that he couldn't live with himself without receiving punishment. So that says a lot about the character. That says a lot about his mental state and the mental state of the other characters, because Hilda had to get an institution to help her move forward with her life. And Miriam, she's just, she just had to, because this all happened in some ways because of her, because it was her stalker that Donatello was protecting her, trying to protect her, and it all ended up in a murder, and she was involved. So that has to be on her psyche for the rest of her life. So that has to be taken into account. But all in all, this is a very interesting work. It really looks in deep into these characters and how this murder, this death, really impacts them and who they are as individuals. That's all I have to say about this work. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.